Hi, this is Adam Kokesh. Thank you to the Boise County Republicans for putting this event together. It is an honor to be included in your celebration of the first annual Major General Smedley Butler Day. Hoorah! Now, you have a great coalition assembled for this event. There's the Boise County Republican Central Committee, Campaign for Liberty, Oathkeepers, the Constitution Party, representatives of the Continental Congress, Idahoans for Liberty, and many more. But most importantly, of course, I'm very excited to be here as a member of Veterans for Peace, an organization which has long celebrated the tradition of Major General Smedley Butler and standing up for this country in its darkest hours, winter soldiering, speaking truth to power, and telling Americans the hard things that they don't necessarily want to hear about what our government is up to. Now, when I was in boot camp in 2000, we got a little green Bible, our green monster, which taught us everything we needed to know to be Marines, and it included a great deal of Marine Corps history, something we take great pride in as being unique among the different services, as something that we study and take dear to our hearts, our heritage within the Marine Corps. And I learned about Smedley Butler. I learned about all of his exploits in war. I learned about 2 Medals of Honor, and I learned about what a hero he was. But you know what? They forgot something. They didn't tell us about what he did afterwards. They didn't tell us about him speaking out, and they certainly did not tell us about his book, War is a Racket, in which he described himself as a high-class muscle man for big business. Well, let me tell you, it's an experience I can relate to. I served as a sergeant on a Marine Corps Civil Affairs team in the Fallujah area from February to September of 2004. And I wouldn't describe it as high class, but we were there for big business. And as Smedley Butler said, war is a racket, the few profit and the many pay. Some things never change, and in these occupations, in the current American empire, the few profit and the many pay. It is Halliburton and KBR and Dynacorp, and the list goes on and on. It is the military-industrial congressional complex that Eisenhower warned us about. So, I'd like to share with you a particularly poignant passage from this book by Smedley Butler that speaks to me. He said, "War is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one international in scope. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. A racket is best described, I believe, as something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. Only a small inside group knows what it is about. It is conducted for the benefit of the very few, at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes." Now, let's take a listen from history. Because the one thing we learn from history is that we never frickin' learn from history. But the inside group that Butler referred to is growing. Thanks to you, thanks to the power of online communications available to us today, the people that are waking up to the true American values of liberty and the implications of that, and how far our nation is strayed from that, especially in terms of our foreign policy. And those of us who know more have a greater responsibility to do something and end this racket once and for all. Now, there's a certain economic reality to what's going on. And for those of you familiar with the Austrian School of Economics, that most grounded in the essential values of liberty, you know that you can't take this kind of manpower and materiel that we are investing in these occupations, that we are investing in a foreign policy that doesn't make us any safer, in which we are making enemies faster than we can kill them. You simply cannot take those resources out of the American economy and put them into war and not expect the American people to suffer. The economic problems that we are facing today are all too predictable. When you take that kind of manpower and that material out of the productive economy, where they are producing things that contribute to the daily quality of lives of average Americans, people are going to suffer. And you got to ask, who's profiting and who's paying? Because we are paying the price for these occupations. We are paying the price for this foreign policy of exploitation in which the few, the wealthy elite in the United States, are the ones who are profiting. Now that suffering extends, as you know, to a native son of Idaho, PFC Bergdahl, currently in captivity by hostile forces in Afghanistan. And he was right about one thing. Despite the circumstances of his capture, he spoke some very important truths. And he said that it's time to bring the troops home. And we, as Americans, have the power to do it. Those of us who know more have a greater responsibility to end this suffering. So thank you very much for joining me on this day. My thoughts and prayers, I'm sure, are with yours, and hoping and praying for the safe return of PFC Bergdahl. But more importantly, we know that there are many more who are suffering as a result of this racket, and we have a responsibility to do something about it.